Hello, everybody, and I'm Ken Clark from Hardware and Building Supply Dealer, and this is our one-on-one video interview series. We're very happy to have our guest today is Tony Misura. That's pronounced like St. Louis, Missouri. I believe that's
Exactly. Yes, the S is almost like a Z. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm honored and humbled to help you and the rest of the industry solve any challenges that be. So yeah.
well. We're proud to have you, Tony. Tony is founder and fearless leader of the Misura Group, an executive recruitment firm with more than 30 years of experience in the building materials industry. We've seen you present at various events, very impressive on the stage, and your knowledge is very impressive. I'd also like to tell our audience that when you're not reading content produced by HBS Dealer, Tony Misura's newsletters are fascinating, and I encourage you to check those out. Tony, tell the audience how you got involved in the executive recruitment business.
Yeah, super fun story to tell. So I'm 18 years old. I was an athlete. I threw out my pitching arm and senior in high school, which meant, mom and dad said, "Hey, it's time to get a job now." Right. And growing up in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, all my buddies were getting jobs unloading lumber cars for Menards. And somehow John hired me as his personal office boy. So I'm a senior in high school reporting to John Menard directly for basically 2 years. And I still am just so lucky and so fortunate to have had that firsthand education, because it's an incredibly rigorous environment. But being 18 years old, I wasn't held to those standards. I was kind of the dumb kid in the room. So I could just be a sponge and really learn how, a 30 billionaire kind of becomes that, and leverage that to become a location manager for them when I was 23 years old. And stayed with that organization till I was 28, 29 years old. And through that, the location managers would get an award for developing and promoting the most locations. So when I started, I think we had 20 locations when I started, and I'm pretty sure we had 200 when I left. And that was over a 13-year period of time. So just massive growth. And they needed leaders. And I would spend my days off during the week on college campuses recruiting business grads to the company and putting them on a career path. And I won that promoting management award 5 years in a row. And that created some attention. Craig Pollen, who's an executive with US Lumber, we were both location managers. He left that organization before I did, and he was getting pursued by a recruiting firm to start a building products division. And Craig was very kind and gave them my name and said, Craig didn't want the role, but he felt that I'd be a good fit. So, like I told Craig, I owe you lunch for the rest of your life, right? For that referral. So anyway.
Well, I hope Craig's watching. Over those years, over those decades, people always call us, it's a people business.
Yeah.
Do you find it's more difficult to recruit these days in this world of consolidation and technology? Is it getting harder to find the right person to put in the right role?
2022 is tough. We have matrix that everyone is held to within our company as far as number of candidates that are vetted and submitted to our clients. And we saw like an 80% reduction in 2022 as compensations just went through the roof. Individuals with $40,000 and $50,000 bonuses were getting $150,000 bonuses because of of course, the inflationary dynamic to commodities and the profits that were kind of coming to the industry space. And so that's changed dramatically. Not only have commodity prices come back down and it's back more to competitive space, but you've got other spaces, other industry segments that are struggling a lot more than the building product spaces, the dealer space. So there's talent out there, and individuals certainly are looking for opportunities to build and grow their careers with organizations that are providing those growth opportunities. So, one of the core things we talk succession planning. If you look at all the independents out there that have not, well, if you look at the independents that have sold, so many of them sold simply because they didn't have a president to succeed the senior leadership.
Tony, maybe you can comment on this. I find this interesting. We get a lot of press releases here in the office of HBS Dealer of new executives taking on new roles, and when you dig down a little deeper into the executive's background, there's some common denominators. There's a lot of Home Depot experience. There's a lot of other Lowe's, the big companies. Are you finding that it's an industry that hires from within, or are they starting to explore more and look into these other industries?
Well, traditionally, right, it's an industry that has really required individuals to understand the dynamics of, you know, that what happens on a job site, what happens with a blueprint, how do you bid it, how do you buy that product, and how do you get it out there, efficiently and accurately. And one of the exciting things out there is that, now finally, as to quote what Godfather 2, we're now bigger than U.S. Steel, right? I mean, within the LBM space, Builders First Source is larger than U.S. Steel. And for us to have a publicly traded business out there that has been successful at that level, from a manufacturing, utilizing technology, big data, I mean, all those things, there's so many things that, our independent dealer clients aren't, sometimes they aren't too happy to hear the message, but at the end of the day, Builders for Source is doing a fantastic job, and in many ways leading from a pricing and progressiveness from an industry standpoint to what happens, and that's built on the foundation of Dave Flipman, who came out of the food industry, right? So there's a great example of an organization going outside to find the expertise that they needed to align them strategically to move forward. Now, of course, David Rush is doing a good job. David's an industry guy, and he's, seems to be following the tactical direction, or I should say, providing the tactical and execution influence around that strategy that Flipman had developed, and they're continuing to gain share. So that's the toughest part, though. What you're talking about is one of the most challenging dynamics to our industry space.
Yeah, we're fans of Builders First Source as well, and I think we had a stat that their stock was up 140% over a year ago. They're doing some things right. They're trying to move into technology and succeeding in many cases. And does that kind of combination of technology with the traditional distribution of building products, do those new skills make it harder for your job as a recruiter?
Harder for our job? No.
Because you got to find a guy who not only knows how to move products from A to B, but understands that the direction that technology is going.
If you think about it, whether you want to take oil and gas compared to, the utilities businesses, or continue to, software and technology and all the various different industries out there, there's so much SOP, so much standardized of process and systems that have taken place that people can move effectively from one industry to another, right? So if automotive has a downturn, they can pivot and go towards, another major industrial, within the U.S. Fortune 500, Fortune 100 company space. The LBM dealer space doesn't have that privilege, simply because of the lack of systems and structure from that perspective to allow individuals to come in to really be very effective in the role. There's an interesting, I don't know, companies that have those systems can attract that talent, and then all of a sudden you're not captive to hiring individuals that might lack the integrity or character just because of the fact they've got the industry expertise. It opens up a much wider pool of talent. So the leaders that are really effective building businesses that can take average people and make them great, that's a big defining factor in this time of limited human resource.
The next generation of leadership, how do we get them into the LBM industry?
Nothing has changed, right? They're looking for growth. They're looking for opportunity. So those companies that are growing either organically or through acquisition just creates a stronger career path for those individuals to grow. And, as an organization, if you're embracing technology and you're looking to become more competitive by leveraging that innovation, that's exciting, right? I mean, professionals still are concerned about stability of the organization. What's that value proposition they have to the customer base, and what resiliency do they have to any competitive dynamics at play?
Well, Tony Misura, thanks for spending time with us today, and thanks for your insights. We hope to see you on the trade show circuit very soon.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Tim.